The diner's neon sign buzzed like a dying insect, its green glow stuttering across the cracked vinyl booths and casting jagged shadows on the scuffed metal floor. Beyond the viewport, the void of space loomed, an endless black canvas pricked, with stars that seemed too distant, too cold, to offer any comfort. The air inside was heavy, saturated with the acrid tang of burnt coffee, overcooked synth steak, and a faint, unsettling metallic undertone that clung to the back of Lila's throat. She moved through the diner with practiced grace, her forearms a blur as she balanced trays of glowing alien liquor and plates of food that hissed faintly, as if still alive. Her bioluminescent scales shimmered under the dim lights, pulsing faintly with her heartbeat, 2 hearts to be exact, each thudding unevenly in her chest. She was used to the rough crowd, grizzled asteroid miners with dust-caked exosuits, smugglers with eyes that darted like prey, and the occasional rogue AI masquerading as a customer, their synthetic voices too smooth to trust. But tonight, something was off. The air felt charged, like the moment before a plasma storm, and the human at table 7 wouldn't stop staring. He was lean, almost gaunt, with a face that looked like it had been carved from stone and left to weather. His eyes were dark, like chips of obsidian, and they followed Lila's every move with an intensity that made her scales itch. He called himself Jace, according to the order pad, where she'd scrawled his name after he muttered it, almost as an afterthought. He nursed a glass of something that smoked faintly, curling tendrils of vapor rising like ghosts in the dim light. Humans weren't uncommon in the diner. Station 17 was a crossroads for every species in the Orion arm, but this one carried a weight in his gaze, like he'd seen the edge of the universe and walked away unimpressed. Lila's upper left hand trembled slightly as she poured him another round, the glowing blue liquid sloshing in the vial. "You good, hun?" she asked, her voice a low hum, the translator chip in her throat struggling to wrap her native tongue around the human slang. Jace's lips twitched, not quite a smile, more like a crack in his facade. "You ever see something you shouldn't have, Lila?" His voice was rough, like gravel ground under a boot, quiet but sharp enough to slice through the diner's ambient hum of clinking plates and murmured conversations. Her lower right hand froze mid-wipe on the counter, the rag dangling limply. He knew her name. She hadn't told him. Her scales flickered, a pulse of light betraying the spike of adrenaline that shot through her. "Plenty of things," she said, forcing a laugh that sounded hollow even to her. Her bioluminescence flared briefly, a soft green glow that lit up the counter like a distress signal. "Comes with the job. People talk. Spill their secrets over cheap liquor and cheaper food." She gestured vaguely at the diner, hoping to deflect to keep things light. The place was nearly empty now, just a snoring Grak at the bar, its massive, slug-like body slumped over a half-empty tankard of fermented sludge and a cloaked figure in the corner booth, their face hidden beneath, a hood that seemed to swallow the light. The Grak was harmless, a regular who drank to forget the mines. The cloaked figure, though, they hadn't ordered anything, just sat there, silent, their presence like a weight pressing on the back of Lila's neck. "Not like this," Jace said, leaning forward. His fingers tapped the glass in a slow, deliberate rhythm that made her heart stutter. 1, 2, 1, 2, like a countdown. "I saw you last night, behind the counter when you thought no one was looking. You flickered, like you weren't here, like you were somewhere else entirely. And then you were back, holding that tray like nothing happened. Not a single glass wobbled." Lila's breath caught, sharp and cold, like she'd swallowed a shard of ice. Her scales dimmed, the glow retreating inward as a cold sweat prickled across her skin. She'd been so careful. The tech buried in her bloodstream, woven into her very cells, wasn't supposed to be noticeable. Not to humans, not to anyone. It was her kind's greatest secret. The thing that let them survive in a galaxy that chewed up the weak and spat out the bones. A flicker, he'd said. A moment where she'd slipped, let the tech pull her halfway out of reality to dodge a spilled tray, a clumsy customer, a moment of exhaustion. She'd thought no one saw. She'd been wrong. "You're drunk," she said, her voice cracking despite her effort to keep it steady. She took a step back, her lower hands gripping the counter's edge, the cold metal grounding her. "People see all kinds of things out here. Void plays tricks on the eyes." Jace's eyes narrowed, pinning her in place. "I saw it again an hour ago. You blinked out, Lila. For 3 seconds. Trey didn't even move. You were gone, and then you weren't." His voice dropped to a whisper, laced with something dangerous. Curiosity, maybe, or hunger. "You can do it again already, can't you?" "What are you?" Her 4 arms went rigid, the tray in her upper right hand trembling slightly, the vials of liquor clinking together. The diner seemed to shrink, the walls pressing in, the hum of the ventilation system roaring in her ears like a distant storm. She could feel the cloaked figure's gaze now, sharp and unyielding, boring into her from the corner. The Grak's snoring had stopped, replaced by a wet, gurgling sound like it was waking up. Silence clawed at her, thick and suffocating. She'd been warned about this, about humans who saw too much, who didn't let go. Her kind had survived for centuries by hiding, by slipping through the cracks of reality, moving between moments and places like ghosts. But Jace's eyes were a trap, and she was caught. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, stepping back again, her lower left hand brushing against the hidden panel under the counter where she kept the emergency beacon. One press, and station security would swarm the place. But security asked questions, and questions led to scans, and scans might find the tech in her veins. She hesitated, her finger hovering over the button. Her bioluminescence pulsed erratically, casting wild shadows across the counter. Jace stood, slow and deliberate, his movements fluid like a predator's. His hand brushed the edge of his coat, and something glinted there, a blade or maybe a neural disruptor, the kind that could fry her tech and leave her stranded in this reality, exposed. "Don't lie to me, Lila," he said, his voice low, almost intimate. "I've seen things too. Things that make your little trick look like a parlor game. You're not just a waitress, and this ain't just a diner." He stepped closer, his shadow swallowing the green neon glow, his boots silent on the metal floor. "Tell me how you do it. Tell me now, or—" The cloaked figure moved, fast, too fast. A blur of black fabric and a flash of metal, and suddenly they were behind Jace, a thin, humming blade pressed to his throat. Lila's vision swam, her scales flaring bright enough to sting her own eyes. The figure's voice was a hiss, synthetic, unplaceable, like it came from everywhere and nowhere. "She's not yours to hunt, human." Jace didn't flinch. His eyes stayed locked on Lila's, unyielding, even as a bead of blood welled under the blade, red against the pale skin of his neck. "I'm not hunting," he said, his voice steady, almost calm. "I'm asking." Lila's hearts pounded, a frantic rhythm that echoed in her skull. The tech in her bloodstream hummed, a low vibration that made her bones ache, urging her to jump, to vanish, to slip out of this moment and into another. But it was too soon. She'd used it twice in the last day, once to dodge a drunk miner's clumsy grab, once to catch a falling tray before it crashed. Another jump now could tear her apart, leave her stranded in the void between worlds, her consciousness scattered across dimensions. She'd seen it happen to others of her kind, their bodies left behind, empty shells, their minds lost in the static. She gripped the counter harder, her nails digging into the metal, anchoring her to this reality. The cloaked figure pressed the blade tighter, and Jace's jaw clenched, but his eyes never left hers. "You're wasting time," he said, his voice low, urgent. "I know what you are, Lila. I've seen your kind before. On Rigel 4 in the mines. One of you flickered out during a cave-in, saved a dozen men. They called it a miracle. I called it tech. Alien tech. And I want it." Her breath hitched. Rigel 4. The name hit like a punch. She'd heard the stories. Whispers among her kind. About a failed jump. A kinsman who'd been too reckless, too desperate. They'd never found his body, only rumors of a human who'd seen too much, who'd started asking questions. Was that Jace? Had he been there, piecing it together all this time? Her scales dimmed, the light retreating as fear coiled tighter in her chest. The cloaked figure's blade didn't waver, but their hooded face turned slightly toward her, as if waiting for a signal. Who were they? Station security? A bounty hunter? One of her own, sent to clean up her mess? "Don't," she whispered, her voice barely audible, directed at the figure. "Please!" She didn't know if she was pleading for Jace's life or her own. The tech hummed louder, a siren song pulling at her, tempting her to jump despite the risk. She could feel the void waiting, a cold, endless expanse where time and space blurred into nothing. Her vision blurred, the edges of the diner fraying like torn fabric. The Grak at the bar was fully awake now, its bulbous eyes fixed. On the scene, its tentacles twitching nervously. The air crackled with tension, every sound amplified. The hum of the blade, the drip of coffee from a forgotten pot, the faint whine of the station's gravity generators. Jace's lips parted, as if to speak, but the cloaked figure tightened, their grip cutting him off. "You've said enough, human," they hissed. "She's not your prize!" Their free hand moved, quick as a viper, pulling a small device from their cloak, a scanner, its red light sweeping over Lila. Her heart stopped. If it detected the tech, she was done. No more hiding, no more running. The scanner beeped, and the figure's head tilted, as if reading something she couldn't see. "Lila," Jace said, his voice softer now, almost pleading. "I don't want to hurt you. I just need to know. I need to understand. You can't keep running forever." The words hit harder than they should have. Running. That's all she'd ever done. Slipping through realities, dodging threats, hiding who she was. She was tired, so tired. And the tech was a curse as much as a gift. Her upper right hand twitched, the tray slipping slightly, vials clinking. The scanner's lights swept over her again, and the cloaked figure muttered something, in a language her translator couldn't parse. The Grak slid off its stool, retreating to the far wall, its tentacles curling defensively. The diner felt like a pressure cooker ready to explode. "I can't," she said, her voice breaking. "I can't tell you. You don't understand what it does to us." Her scales flared again, brighter, wilder, casting jagged shadows across the walls. The tech was screaming now, a high-pitched whine in her veins, pulling at her, begging her to jump. She could feel reality thinning, the diner starting to flicker at the edges, like a holovid losing signal. Her body was betraying her, the tech, taking over, sensing danger and acting on instinct. "Don't do it," Jace said, his voice sharp now, urgent. "Don't jump. You'll kill yourself." How did he know? How did he know the cost? Her vision swam, the diner tilting, the neon sign blurring into a green smear. The cloaked figure's blade wavered, as if they sensed it too. The shift, the fracture in reality. They stepped back, the scanner dropping to their side, their hooded face unreadable. "Lila, stay," Jace said, and there was something in his voice. Desperation, maybe, or something deeper. Something human she didn't understand. But it was too late. The tech surged, a tidal wave in her blood, and she felt herself unraveling, her body pulling apart like threads of light. She tried to fight it, to hold on, but the void was stronger. Her scales blazed, a supernova of green, and the last thing she saw was Jace's face, shock, awe, and something like triumph, as the world dissolved into static. Her body hit the floor, the tray crashing beside her, vials shattering in a spray of glowing blue. The neon sign flickered one last time, and the diner fell silent, the void outside swallowing everything.